Still have a minute, yeah?
Do you need to do something?
Oh, my watch says, or my phone says 6. Your phone says 6.
It does now.
Smartwatch said it's 6.
Go by the official. Now it says 6. Being as it's 6 p.m., call this regular village board meeting to order. If you'd all join me in a moment of silence, especially today as we recognize National Day of Service and Remembrance, events we all recollect far too vividly. Will you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, you have the roll.
Trustee Mann.
Here.
Trustee Gerger.
Present.
Trustee Fountain.
Here.
Trustee Mao.
Here.
Trustee Scherschel.
Present.
Village President Kimsey.
Present. Any public announcements this evening? Hearing none.
There is
On public announcements?
a public comment.
Yeah, public comments.
Yeah.
No one signed up, but I do believe we have Mr. Sullivan. Step on up. If you could talk into the microphone, these are recorded and broadcast, and that's the only way everybody else can hear you.
You're on C-SPAN right now.
And you got to move up close.
You've got 5 minutes. 3 minutes left now.
I'm Gene Sullivan, and this is my partner, Lasanesi Yakama. And we are in the process of applying for a liquor and gaming license for a Thai restaurant that we plan to open here in Chatham. So we're excited about doing that. Sun, which is what they refer to as Sheik, is partial owner of Taste of Thai up in Springfield, and has been for the last 20 years. I'm a local business owner. I've been here for 22 years. And Chatham, has no Thai food in town. And so not only does she have an excellent reputation with her food, but I think that there's a market here that will be great for her. So we're excited about that. Our plans for the restaurant are to have Thai cuisine, beer, and wine only. It does have gaming in the facility, 5 machines. We want to keep those machines to help with income. And any assistance that we can get would be greatly appreciated.
Did you bring samples?
So in 2 weeks, we can add to our agenda. We'll need to increase the number of liquor licenses available. No, the other one's going to be surrendered?
No Agenda has given up their license.
They are going to surrender it. Okay. All right.
And so they have had it in the facility before, so we're just wanting to.
Yeah.
I actually had to go get a new LLC. We did not want to take over that LLC, so we're in the process of getting a license for the same facility.
Okay.
Because they can't hold that license if they don't have an address. And that license goes with that address, and they're going to, so.
We're good.
But we'll reissue a new license to
We have
it.
to increase it if no agenda comes back. So. Any questions?
That's good.
Thank you, Gene. I think you made a lot of people excited just mentioning Thai
Welcome.
food in Chatham.
I think you'll have a market.
Well, yeah, generally we come to you to get our backs done. Now we'll come and have food at your place. Yeah.
All right. Any additional public comment this evening? Hearing none, can I have a motion to put the consent agenda on the board?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Trustee Mao, seconded by Trustee Gerger. Discussion regarding the warrants or the minutes. Hearing none, Madam Clerk.
Trustee Mann.
Yes.
Trustee Gerger.
Yes.
Trustee Fountain.
Yes.
Trustee Mao.
Yes.
Trustee Scherschel.
Yes.
No old business. Item 1 under new business is a resolution confirming the appointment of Andrew Detmers as village trustee for the village of Chatham. Can I have a motion to put that?
I'll make that motion.
Trustee
I'll
Gerger,
second.
seconded by Trustee Mao. Mr. Detmers is here this evening. When Trustee Lindhorst resigned, that set in place our time clock to name an appointment. We solicited for letters of interest from individuals around town. With your help and your input, narrowed it down, and you guys all have had an opportunity to speak with Dewey, see his resume, see how he responded. So, any questions?
I would just like to say I think it's a great choice. I think Dewey will be an asset to the board. He'll bring a lot of knowledge on the financial side and just business in general. and he is very community oriented. He has a very young family, so he's well invested in Chatham, and I think it was a great choice.
I just
Village
want to say
President.
thank you for putting your name in there. It's not easy to jump on the board and say, hey, I want to do that. It's happy you did it.
Yeah, it was quite encouraging, the number of people that submitted. So I certainly appreciate, all the interest in doing it. We got a town full of people that are willing to volunteer their time. So much appreciated. So
Add my thanks and congratulations to, and in addition to everything Trustee Gerger said, his involvement of just how he is always willing to roll up his sleeves and get involved and do something. So I appreciate that.
Madam Clerk?
Trustee Mann.
Yes.
Trustee Gerger.
Yes.
Trustee Fountain.
Yes.
Trustee Mao.
Yes.
Trustee Churchill.
Yes.
We'll take a quick pause here and have a swearing in. So, Mr. Detmers?
That's underneath there, and there's that one too.
Let's see, I'll tell you what. Guess what? Yeah, that'll work.
Okay. Do we need to raise his right hand?
Sure.
First of all, nice to meet you. Just repeat after me that oath of office for the Village of Chatham Village Trustee. I do solemnly swear or affirm
I do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of Village Trustee for the Village of Chatham
of Village Trustee for the Village of Chatham
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Sign it.
We didn't get a cheat sheet.
I was thinking ahead this time.
Trustee Detmers, if you'd like to join us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
There you go. Excuse me, I have to go.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you. Madam Clerk, if you could update the roll to reflect the inclusion of Trustee
Yes.
Detmers.
Trustee Mann.
Here.
Trustee Gerger.
Present.
Trustee Fountain.
Here.
Trustee Detmers.
Here.
Trustee Mao.
Here.
Trustee Churchill.
Present.
Item 3, resolution confirming the reappointment of Diane Vanderkoy to the Board of Fire and Police Commissioners for the Village of Chatham.
So moved.
Trustee Churchill's made a motion. Have a second.
I'll second.
Second by Trustee Fountain. Diane filled the balance of Commissioner Troutvetter's term when he resigned, and now is up for a full term. So she's been doing a fantastic job working with Vern and the rest of the commission. So, discussion or questions? Hearing none, Madam Clerk.
Trustee Mann.
Yes.
Trustee Gerger.
Yes.
Trustee Fountain.
Yes.
Trustee Detmers.
Yes.
Trustee Mao.
Yes.
Trustee Churchill.
Yes.
Item 4 is a resolution confirming the reappointment of Richard Funderburg to the Planning Commission for the Village of Chatham. Can I have a
So
motion?
moved.
Trustee Churchill made a
I'll
motion.
second.
Second by Trustee Fountain. Professor Funderburg has been on our Planning Commission. He also serves as the chair of our Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee. He's been doing a fantastic job with that committee, and I'd like to put his name forward to reappointment to the Planning Commission.
No brainer.
And with that, I believe we're done with discussion. Madam Clerk.
Trustee Mann.
Yes.
Trustee Gerger.
Yes.
Trustee Fountain.
Yes.
Trustee Detmers.
Yes.
Trustee Mao.
Yes.
Trustee Churchill.
Yes.
Item 5 is a resolution confirming the appointment of Joseph Belletta to the Planning Commission for the Village of Chatham.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Churchill, second by Trustee Mao. Joseph is with us. He's employed by the fire department. Has also put his name forward, willing to volunteer in the capacity of a planning committee member. So bring a different voice than what we currently have on the planning commission. Questions for Joe or further discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk.
Trustee Mann.
Yes.
Trustee Gerger.
Yes.
Trustee Fountain.
Yes.
Trustee Detmers.
Yes.
Trustee Mao.
Yes.
Trustee Churchill.
Yes.
Item 6 is an ordinance authorizing the purchase of water distribution material from Midwest Meter. Have a motion, please.
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Miles made a motion.
I'll second.
Second by Trustee Fountain. Discussion?
In the past, we've been buying meters in smaller amounts that we haven't had to go out for bids. I tasked the guys this year to start buying meters in larger amounts to be able to try to acquire better pricing. So that's why you see the water meter and electric meters on here at this time.
How much have we been able to get down by the bulk pricing?
Well, the water meter, it stayed the same because they always gave us the same price, whether we were buying them in bulk of 100 or 20. Midwest Meter is the supplier of Badger meters in this area, so but theirs stayed the same. The electric equipment, it jumps around all over the place. Mm-hmm. And if you look at the bid package on there, we bought some from one company and some from another company and different items from different companies, as long as they meet our specifications. One of them had a lower price on an item, but we requested that all the wiring inside of it be copper, and they had half aluminum and half copper. And that isn't what we spec throughout our system, so that's why we rejected that one.
Further questions? Madam Clerk?
Trustee Mann.
Yes.
Trustee Gerger.
Yes.
Trustee Fountain.
Yes.
Trustee Detmers.
Yes.
Trustee Mao.
Yes.
Trustee Churchill.
Yes.
Item 7, ordinance authorizing the purchase of electric distribution material. Have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Fountain, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Trustee Gerger. The rest of Pat's discussion.
Yeah, that was essentially it.
Mm-hmm.
Further discussion or questions?
Copy and paste.
Hearing none, Madam Clerk.
Trustee Mann.
Yes.
Trustee Gerger.
Yes.
Trustee Fountain.
Yes.
Trustee Detmers.
Yes.
Trustee Mao.
Yes.
Trustee Churchill.
Yes.
Item 8 is a resolution for maintenance under the Illinois Highway Code. Have a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Fountain, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Churchill. Pat or
I
Jim?
need Jim to explain this.
Jim?
Okay.
So we did the maintenance resolution earlier in the year for maintenance items, roadway items, using MFT dollars. And at that time, it was based on just some preliminary numbers that we had for the anticipated improvements within the town. Both capital improvements, one being North Park Avenue or North Park Street, and the other one, the others being just maintenance items, salt, oil and shift, so forth. When we got into the design for the plans for North Park, and then also with the improvements at
Plummer.
Looking at the dollars that we had available, the $500,000 for the bond money, we had to reappropriate more MFT money for North Park. So what this is a reappropriation of additional MFT dollars to cover the difference between what was estimated originally and what is needed based on the difference between the bond money that's available or left over from the Plummer Boulevard project to what's going to North Park. So basically, there's a $40,000 shortage. What we're putting in there is a $75,000 increase in the MFT. It is not a use it or lose it. It is just an appropriation of dollars there to cover whatever expenses that we have on the project. So whatever doesn't get appropriated or used during this MFT process just goes back into our system, and we'll reallocate the dollars next year. So that's basically what that is, just changing money from one pot to another.
There is one thing that does need to be corrected on the resolution. It is marked as a supplement, when in fact it should be an amended resolution. The supplement basically would just add additional dollars to our original, where the amended just changes the actual dollar figure.
Amended?
Yes.
Good catch.
Did for 17 years.
I'll second that motion.
Madam Clerk on the amendment. And she's ready.
We need a motion to amend.
Terry made it. I heard.
I second.
Yeah. Amy, did you catch that?
No, who?
A motion to amend it.
Yes,
Trustee
and then
Fountain,
second.
second by Trustee Gerger. Yeah. And then a vote on the amendment.
Okay. Trustee Mann.
Yes.
Trustee Gerger.
Yes.
Trustee Fountain.
Yes.
Trustee Detmers.
Yes.
Trustee Mao.
Yes.
Trustee Churchill.
Yes.
Further discussion? Hearing none, motion on the resolution as amended.
Make a motion.
I'll
Sorry,
second.
we already had that. Madam Clerk?
Yes, we did.
Trustee Mann.
Yes.
Trustee Gerger.
Yes.
Trustee Fountain.
Yes.
Trustee Detmers.
Yes.
Trustee Mao.
Yes.
Trustee Churchill.
Yes.
Item 9 is an ordinance authorizing awarding a bid to Illinois Valley Paving for the North Park Avenue Road improvements. I have a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Fountain's made a motion. I have a second.
I'll second.
Second by Trustee Mann. Discussion, Jim, you want to explain any further?
Same project that we're doing for the MFT and the resolution adjustment on that. We did have 4 bidders, Truman Flat, Samuel Construction, United Contractors Midwest, or Friesen, and Broughton. The low bidder was UCM, United Contractors Midwest, at $548,533.11. Review the bids. It seems to be a responsible bid. The numbers, items are in line, so we make a recommendation to move forward with that. Contracts signed by UCM, and then upon board approval, we'll move forward with the approval process, which part of it is the update of the resolution.
Jim, just clarification. Was that Friesen of UCM or Illinois Valley?
It was UCM,
Illinois Valley.
A division of United Contractors Midwest. Is that what?
Okay, so it was Illinois Valley.
Illinois Valley.
Okay.
Additional questions or discussion?
Do we know what kind of shutdown or any kind of traffic adjustments that's going to cause?
The biggest impacts will be at the side roads, because we have to rebuild the radius returns, curb and gutter, the radius returns, to fix the 88 ramps and improve the drainage there. So there will be some open cutting of the roadway in those locations, but all of those roadways have alternate routes around. So traffic, local traffic will be inconvenienced minimally. The mainline pavement, there are no excavations in the mainline pavement. It's just mill and overlay. So that will be done under day operations, moving operations. So traffic will be maintained along North Park during the process.
Madam Clerk?
Trustee Mann.
Yes.
Trustee Gerger.
Yes.
Trustee Fountain.
Yes.
Trustee Detmers.
Yes.
Trustee Mao.
Yes.
Trustee Churchill.
Yes.
Item 10, a resolution rejecting the bids for the village tree trimming service. We have a motion, please.
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Miles made a motion. Have a second.
I'll second.
Trustee Fountain, second. Pat, we bid the entire town on a tree trimming project.
I think it was 3 subdivisions that they put out bids to trim the trees in the public right-of-way. Those numbers came in higher than what we had budgeted for tree trimming for this year. Since they were all higher than what we had budgeted, we thought it'd be prudent to go back and reject those bids and then come back and narrow the scope of what areas they need to be able to get in and take care of that would fall closer in line with the amount of money that we had to spend in the budget.
Additional questions for Pat?
I have a question. Is some of this tree trimming, can we do some of it and not have to put it all out for bid, or?
Stuff that this is out for bid for is in the power lines, and we do not have a person certified to trim trees in power lines at this time.
Madam Clerk?
Trustee Mann.
Yes.
Trustee Gerger.
Yes.
Trustee Fountain.
Yes.
Trustee Detmers.
Yes.
Trustee Mao.
Yes.
Trustee Churchill.
Yes.
Item 11, consideration and action on petition from Janie Farmer for water charge refund in excess of 24 months.
Okay. We discussed this at the utility committee last night. We had 2 sets of figures. We had what Pat had put together, and it was verified by 2 people. We had Ms. Farmer's numbers. They weren't verified. She wasn't there to answer questions. In the discussion, we found out there are late fees. So the recommendation of that committee, which passed unanimously, was to refund her the $2,055 $0.16 plus late fees of $173.27 for a total of $2,228.43. Two other people were on the committee. If they have any discussion, I'd welcome it.
So I was one of the committee that approved that. I did have a couple questions. I was disappointed she wasn't there last night because I had a couple questions because we have discrepancies between the numbers. I'm disappointed that she's not here tonight as well. With the new process we put in place, increasing it from 1 year to 2 years the last time, when it was brought up to petition, we did add that the ability to a petition for extenuating circumstances. I'm a little uncomfortable with us voting on it with her not being there last night at the utility subcommittee and then also not tonight to also address the discrepancies we have between the two. I think we should go back for the full amount, but I think we need to make sure to define what those extenuating circumstances are so those are clear as we vote and approve that. I also have a question because when she first brought that up, these are just question 1 and 2, just so we know we're doing the right thing. But because when she first brought this up, she first said $8,000. As I've looked at this, I think, this was of no wrongdoing on her part. But those are just my thoughts, and so it's a little disappointing she's not here today.
And I guess my question, I do know she had sent me, I'm assuming she may have sent something to all the other trustees a few weeks back. And as I was comparing her numbers based on her spreadsheet and what Pat had come up with, it looked like she had included some of the flat fees, the $25.99, the $2.50, and I think it's $11.13 in her numbers. And I just checked a couple of them. I emailed her back saying, I think this is where the discrepancy is as far as the numbers. Take a look at it. Contact Jamie with the utility office just to make sure those flat fees had not changed during that time period. So I had not heard anything back from her. But then I guess the other question I have, and I did not delve into it, is with the late fees, was she looking at the total amount of late fees or was she looking at a prorated?
So we took the late fees and took it by the same factor, the 565 that she did on the water, and did it that way. She was looking at the late fees as a total, and then she did times it by the 565, and she came in. So she did take a prorated version of those late fees.
But that's just for the water rate?
Correct.
So.
And the sewer.
And the sewer, but then the electric's not included in that.
Well,
Correct.
The thing that you guys got to remember is the late fee for the bill. It's not the late fee for water. It's not the late fee for electric. So trying to determine what portion of the penalty was a late fee,
right?
It's almost not worth it. Just if you're gonna give her a refund on the late fee, give her a refund on the late fee.
Okay.
And in her numbers, we took the 0.565, which is what. But you're right. It would be a little bit more because it would have the others, the electric and everything, because it's not differentiated.
Yeah. Okay. It's a fair effort, I would think, that anybody put forward.
Yeah.
So.
I would say the number that we came up with is a fair number. It's very similar to the number that she came up with as well. It's very close. So, it's within a few, give or take. So, it's a fair number.
And I would also have to agree with Trustee Scherschel's comment that we need to make sure that it's clearly defined as to what the circumstances were for this, so that if someone else comes to us with something else that doesn't match up, this is why we ruled this way on this item, this is why we're ruling differently, because the circumstances are different. So I do believe we need to make that very clear if we do decide to approve it.
Jeff, you had something. Yeah, and Mayor, just along those lines, Trustee, I was going to recommend that the board, so that the record is clear, maybe articulate what those extenuating circumstances are.
Yeah, in this instance, the extenuating circumstances, and I don't think anybody argues the fact that the village is at fault for this particular incident.
Installed the wrong
meter equipment. It wasn't wasn't noticed by any party. So I don't. And there's no there's no finger pointing here. The village is it's our fault. So we'll do what we can to make it right.
Right, and I guess I would just press a little bit, because in all of these refund situations, it's always going to be, the village had some sort of an error on it. And I think when this was approved,
the extenuating circumstances,
to go beyond the 2 years, it was going to be, there has to be even more than it was just a mistake on the village's part. And I think part of what was discussed previously was the location of this and how difficult it would have been to uncover this.
Correct.
It was
underneath the house in the crawl space. Would have been very difficult to uncover it. Even the employees that went out had trouble seeing down there.
And then to add to that, we know the start date. We know the beginning of the problem. We know when it started. We know when it was identified. So we have a very clearly defined time frame for this to be defined, right? So from beginning to end, we know exactly what happened. We know why it happened. So I think we have those parameters. They should be documented, I would agree.
From a petition process for this, I mean, since she's not come to either the petitioning, because last night that whole meeting was dedicated for this purpose.
Correct.
So she wasn't there. I mean, if this was a zoning hearing, if you don't show up, you wouldn't have taken it up as consideration. In planning commission, anything, it wouldn't have been taken up for consideration if you're, protesting or petitioning something. So, but I mean, I understand there's circumstances. So if she's not there, then at least we need something written. Now we received her bills, but I think from a written perspective, then we need something written of why she's appealing and petitioning for those extenuating circumstances. I'm just asking that to the board. Do we want that written from her to the board? Because she's not here to verbally say it.
Well, she submitted that letter, and where she told us that she thought that our numbers were unfair for the 12 months coming back.
The original?
The original letter.
Email?
So you could almost call that her petition.
Well, within that email, she said she was sending the complaint to the Attorney General's office. So in my mind, that's saying, well, then let's wait and see what the Attorney General says. So if she is petitioning this board, then she needs to petition this board.
So I guess my question at that point would be, do we table this discussion and make a formal request back to her saying we want a letter or something formal stating your reasons? Is that?
I think that would put the cart before the horse. I think you guys have already made your your feelings. Well, I know you haven't voted yet, but your committee has made their feelings that you want to give this refund. Mm-hmm. But now you want to stop it and say you have to submit a letter.
I made a note when I voted last night before I said, I said it was pending two things. The 8,000, because I was hoping she was going to be here tonight since she wasn't there last night. It was my question on 8,000, and I had legal concerns about it as well. And so we didn't have our attorney there last night. So for me, that vote, and I said that last night, so I hope our deputy clerk put that in the minutes. It was contingent on those things because I wanted to have that discussion tonight and have our counsel. So I mean, putting the cart before the horse. We were in the wrong. I completely support going back to 48 months. That she didn't know that. But I feel like we need for legal purposes, we need a process, not a willy-nilly, especially since we had 3 different versions of numbers. From all the different emails. Her emails had two different documents that even were different than each other.
But they weren't, the one set of documents was the village.
Yeah. Right.
I took her asking us verbally the last board meeting.
Okay. Whatever the precedent that is set, that's now the precedent. So is that the precedent that's the formal petition, is formally saying it at a meeting.
Well, I guess that's where I would have a concern. Yes, there needs to be some sort of request from the person petitioning, which I believe has occurred. But I think it's up to this board that if it's decided to be approved, that we indicate what we believe the extended circumstances were based on the various discussions that we've had here or maybe individually with Pat, so that we're defining what those circumstances were based on the information versus having her define those.
Yeah, I agree.
As far as the petitioning goes, I think we have two petitions. We have a verbal petition and we have the email petition, the letter that she sent us all explaining, why she thought, these numbers were wrong. And so I don't think we're lacking a petition in either case.
I would say that we do, like Mr. Jurgens indicated, we do need to define what the extenuating circumstances are to go above the 2 years.
And I would suggest you go beyond just you acknowledge a mistake would happen, because as pointed out, anything
it would be
a mistake.
that
One way
extenuating
or the other way.
circumstances would be that it's in a crawl space that's dark. She had no way of even really knowing where that meter was. Village employees found it. I would say that, and the part was put in wrong, and it read wrong.
I add one thing to that, which is that the consumer may not have even been able to determine that a problem existed. That she moved in and the problem already was there.
Correct.
Thus, her rate was assumed to be correct the entire time, so she didn't even know that she should petition and, request assistance because it was just her normal. Whereas if there was a different situation where my bill were to double,
you see a spike
over the next 3 months, and ultimately, as a consumer, I feel like I'm obligated to identify that and bring it to the board's attention or bring it to the Utilities Commission before 48 months or 5 years goes by.
Yeah, correct. I would agree.
Madam Clerk, do you have all that?
What?
Do you have all that?
Yes.
Do you have further discussion? We need a motion to.
Yeah.
So we want Jeff to look at it and see if his mind, if that's a petition or not.
As long as our council feels this petition process is, we're setting a precedent. I just want to make sure that
I agree.
That's a good precedent going forward.
Look at this
because
I
I put myself in her shoes and I completely sympathize, and I think she's owed the money, but I don't want to make a decision just on one person because I sympathize with her. I want to make sure I'm looking at this holistically, how we go forward. Because if we have 50 people come or none tomorrow, we need to have a process in place because we want to be proactive, not reactive to how we do this.
Now, Paul.
Agree.
When I met with her and Dustin and Jamie, I asked her to prepare a letter and send it to the board. And that's what that is.
Okay.
So up till then, we didn't have a process to argue this because the rules said 12
1 year,
months.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So we didn't have a form to fill out to petition to have that changed. So I figured the only way to do that was ask her to put a letter together. Now, if that's sufficient as the petition in your mind, then I think you guys could proceed. If you don't think it is, then, but.
I just wanted to pose the question before we take the final vote on this so we know we're there, because
she did follow the steps that we asked her to do when she went through it. So I don't want it to fall back that she didn't do something that she wasn't. I did kind of expect her to be there last night or tonight, but I don't think she was told that it was required that she had to be there either of those nights.
I thought it was mentioned the last meeting, and that may have been my misunderstanding. So I was expecting that, but no, I don't, she's already been to 2 meetings, so also at the same time, I don't think she needs to go to all our meetings. Right. And so, we want to make this right, so.
And I believe going forward, whether it's here or any future situations, I think we do need some kind of written or typed record of what they're going after and why they're going after it. I mean, I did consider her petition when she spoke to us that night, but also on top of that, this is for our record, so,
I think,
we can say, go back.
now that we have a rule and that you guys have kind of gone down this path, we'll prepare a petition so that that person can request relief from what the rule that you set in place.
Chairman Gerger, can I have a specific motion?
Yeah, so I'd like.
Make that motion.
Yeah.
Well, hang on.
The motion would be that her extenuating circumstances were that her meter was in a crawl space. It would, unbeknownst to her, she moved in and it was that way, and the meter was wrong.
So moved.
It calculated her.
A second.
Wait for the.
It calculated her fees wrong, so I would make the motion to pay her $2,228.43.
So moved.
To close this matter.
I'll second that.
And then Brett, just so we're clear, last night you guys brought that, you all agreed on it, but you just wanted to make sure the petition process was set in stone. So now we're approving.
And just also for clarity, that any money that's already been paid to her, obviously, will
be deducted from this
And nothing
amount.
has been paid to her, correct, as of yet?
Sherry, in the system, if we were going to give her this, would that go as a credit on her utility bill and not a check?
It could.
Okay, so we can do it either way.
I
We'll
thought
get
a
with her
credit
and
had
find
been.
out.
I thought a credit had been given already.
Yeah, I would ask that the village look and deduct any credits that have already been made off of this amount. This should be the amount.
We may have given her
Total.
the credit for the 12 months
Correct.
So for one of the
following
48
policy.
So this would be the total amount.
This is the total, and whatever credits the village has already
Given her.
should be deducted from this amount, is my motion.
Do we need to amend?
No.
I have a
All
second.
one big long motion. Our clerk has
Local motion.
written
Got
down
every word.
every word.
So Trustee Gerger's made a long motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Scherschel. Madam Clerk.
Trustee Mann.
Yes.
Trustee Gerger.
Yes.
Trustee Fountain.
Yes.
Trustee Detmers.
Present.
Trustee Mao.
Yes.
Trustee Churchill.
Yes.
All right, do we have any additional public comment this evening?
I don't have anything.
Did you have a comment for the board? Did you, sir?
Hey, Jeff, I have nothing.
Hearing none. Scheduled meetings, ADA Transition Plan Committee, 6 p.m., September 18th. Planning Commission, 6 p.m., September 20th. Village Board, 6 p.m., September 25th. Public Properties Recreation Commission, 6 p.m., October 8th. Utility Oversight Subcommittee, 7 p.m., October 8th. Village Board, 6 p.m., October 9th. Committee of the Whole, 6:15, October 9th. And the Chatham Police Commission, 5:30 p.m., November 15th. Trustee Detmers, could I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Or a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting stands adjourned.
Trustee Detmers, your
Grab something up tomorrow
vote should have been abstained.
Do we need to for that?
for the minutes. Yeah.
Okay.
Just be in the minutes.
Thought about it.
And then,
We have
he said present.
Committee meeting.
That'll be on the, will there be a tally?
Oh, we can go right into it. Call to order
So as far as AG complaint,
for the Committee of the Whole.
Okay.
Madam Clerk, can I get a roll call?
Yes. Trustee Mann.
Here.
Chairman Gerger.
Present.
Trustee Fountain.
Here.
Trustee Detmers.
Here.
Trustee Mao.
yes.
Trustee Churchill.
Present. Any public comments on agenda topics? Seeing or hearing none. Can I get a motion to bring the consent agenda?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
It was made by Trustee Mao, seconded by Trustee Mann. Any discussion?
Hold, let me add. Would the clerk like a little bit of time to catch up?
All right.
Do you want, I'm offering some time.
Oh, I'm all good now. I was writing on the other from the last vote.
We've been keeping you busy tonight.
We were going to break her, Ryan. We had her.
Okay, we're all good now.
Rick's over here trying to crack the whip on you, and I see you're over there scrambling.
Trustee Mann.
She's playing tic-tac-toe. It's okay.
Trustee
Yes.
Chairman Gerger.
Yes.
Trustee Fountain.
Yes.
Okay. Trustee Detmers.
Yes.
Trustee Mao.
Yes.
Trustee Churchill.
Yes. No old business, new business. CMT engineering updates.
Thank you.
We had her.
Jim's on deck.
She was on the road.
Smoking.
A couple of minor items. items, we talked about North Park, looking at receiving IDOT's approval here shortly, hopefully here by the end of the month. We're see some activities moving forward on that project.
Jim, will North Park have that material that we talked about on the seam?
Yes, that is in the bid. Yes.
Awesome.
Other item that we'll see some immediate improvement on is utility building at the elevated tank. Will be set
Oh, wow.
Be on site to deliver and set that building, and then village crews will start making connections with utilities, the communications equipment, water pressure equipment, electric, and so forth. It's definitely in place in advance of the tank painting. Tank painting, still working with the contractor in terms of getting his schedule. He was supposed to be here next week. He's not very good at communication and paperwork, so we're diligently working with him to get things moving forward and get some activity going at the tank. One of the things that you will see around town will be 4 hydrodynamic tanks ranging between 6,000 gallons and 10,000 gallons in size. And what those are is trailer-mounted tanks that will replicate the pressure that the elevated tank provides to the system and maintain pressure throughout the system during operation. So because we're draining the tank and the tank elevation provides pressure to the water distribution system, the hydrodynamic tanks will replicate that at the ground elevation. So,
And those were part of the contract?
Those are part of the contract, yes.
And Terry, I think it said, didn't it say on the side of the tanks, I think it says, what, purified water or something like that? So we want people to know the water is not being stored in those tanks.
It is a pressure tank.
It's a pressure tank.
Hooked up the hydrants, with air and water in there, and it's just to preserve the pressure in the system. So replicate what the elevated tank provides at a much higher elevation. So you'll see those. The other thing too is that we'll be preparing a contingency plan. Along with this contract, should there be any issues with the pumpage in the system, pumps go down, these tanks have a limited amount of time that they can provide pressure to the system under normal draw. So what we're going to do is work through a couple of different scenarios, work with Dustin in terms of implementation of those scenarios to make sure that we can avoid at all possible a boil order should we lose pressure from the pumps. So let's see what else we have here. Glendale subdivision unit 4 over by the tank. That's continuing to move forward, and that should be wrapped up here by the end of the year construction season. Other than that, that's all.
Jim, with Park Street, was that set up as working days or completion date?
It is working days, 3 to 5 working days.
Okay, so that takes us into potentially 1st of November, maybe?
Yeah, I'm anticipating probably a late November completion date.
I don't recall what the spec is. Are we going to have issue with the thermal plastic?
And if we were out of spec, we will temporarily strike that with paint
And then come back.
next year.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Number 2, village manager update.
First item, I sent some emails out late last month on electronic recycling that BLH in Springfield is offering. So I contacted the chamber and they were going to get back with me, but I haven't heard from them. What BLH and they're coordinating with the Sierra Club for $250 participation fee as a village. Any of our residents can take electronic devices into BLH and drop them off for no fee for the month of, well, they were going to start it, I think, sometime the beginning of next week, and they would go for a month from there. So I just wanted to let you guys know that I'm going to go ahead and move forward with that, put it on our webpage. It's good timing because we could get a lot of that stuff taken care of before our fall cleanup starts down at the park. A lot of times people try to bring electronics and old TVs down there, and we're not allowed to take those to just automatically stick those in a landfill. So,
And
Pat, how are we promoting that?
I'm going to put it on the web page and then
Just the website?
website. I think there's this thing called Facebook. We could probably put it on. I don't use that, but
Did we put it in the Clarion too, Pat?
yeah, we'll put it in the Clarion.
Don't forget,
Joe?
don't forget MySpace.
Yeah.
I hear that's where the money's at in terms
It is on Stevenson.
Yes, that's right. That's
Pat, I know one of the questions I asked, and I don't know if you got a chance to talk to DLH. Is it possible for them to sort of just do a tally of how many Chatham residents come in and drop off thing? Because, if it's only one person, then it's not worth it. If it's a couple hundred people, then yeah, it's probably something worthwhile to do, hopefully in the future.
All right.
I don't know if you had gotten a response or even asked the question yet.
People are going to be like,
If I was them, I would say that 500 people came through, but
Matt, can you clarify where is this taking place?
this is going to be in at their offices off of Stevenson Drive.
And I remember the chamber, sponsoring that event that happened on the square. Could you possibly see if they would be willing to set up some kind of storage unit within the square so that the residents could
These guys will
do this
not.
more easily?
They want it at their place. They can direct the stuff to certain piles and trucks there.
Handle it once.
Yeah, and handle it all at once. They don't want to go around the community.
They've got a small warehouse in the back of the building back there that they can shift things off into and get them sent to the correct processing facilities.
Yeah, I was thinking of a way that we could make it easier on the residents rather than having to drive into Springfield and do their dumping.
And we really couldn't use a village truck like one of our big trucks. And
Because if somebody put something on our truck and then they wouldn't take it there, then now it's our liability. So, no.
And with respect to the $250, it's something that normally would be charged if somebody were to just take a TV in there. In other words,
I think
where are we saving anybody money, or just?
I think it's 25 to 35 an item. It depends on the size of the TV. If it's the old ones with the tubes, it's even more. So,
all right.
The chamber used a company out of Carlinville last year, and I understand they've gone out of business. They were taking some item that BLH told me they were taking items that they shouldn't be taking, and they're no longer in business. So,
Okay.
so. The other thing is we are getting very close to moving forward with our new alert system that the village is using. We had used eAlert for a number of years, and we're switching to a product called Civic Ready. Myself and Vern have been working on it for the last month. We've gone through testing periods. I think the last step that we have is to train our dispatchers and a few of our other key employees here on being able to put out alerts. We've got a news release here that I'll give to Joe tonight. Our go live date is going to be September the 21st. With this new system, you can sign up to get a text message, a voice message, an email, and it'll also dial a landline phone for you. And it does all of this within a matter of seconds. Where our old system, we had to send it out in units of about 10, because if we sent it any more than that, it got blocked as spam.
I'm sorry, what's a landline?
A landline?
Hey, come on now. Wait 1 second.
Now you've got a Princess phone at home somewhere.
Do you know of other communities around this area that have that Civic Ready?
Other communities right around here do not have this one. We checked to see what the school used. We talked to them. They said what their product is strictly for schools. And we started looking at different ones, and this seemed like a really good solution. They're out of, was it Manhattan, Kansas? Yeah.
And they work with both Verizon, AT&T, and
Sprint, Cricket, everything.
Have you noticed any hiccups?
Boost.
Or is there any hiccups that you guys have read about or seen that others have experienced with this system, or
No.
just so what we can expect potentially? No. Okay.
It will run smoother than our previous one.
One last question. You were working on trying to preload that system with the existing users.
We've already uploaded all of them. We've had all of our emails uploaded, all of our text messages uploaded, all of the landlines that people still have here. Those have been loaded into it. When you go to sign up for this new system, what they want you to do, our old system, you didn't have to put in your name. This new system, they would like for you to put in your name and your address, because it's specific enough that I can go in, and if we have a water main break on Downing Drive, we could draw a circle around Downing Drive, and everybody that's in the system would automatically get an alert telling them that they're under a boil order and that we've had a water main break. So the more people that we can get signed up and actually put all their information in and put their address in, the smarter the system works for us.
So anybody that's currently getting an e-alert now will not notice, other than it's coming from somewhere else.
It will come from, it'll look like 217-483-2451, the number here. The first one that we send out to everyone will explain that we switched over to a new system and that we want you to follow this hyperlink, go there to sign up and put all your information in. And then you can pick and choose. And as we get more items put in there, like flushing program and road closed, we'll have different types of alerts. And you'll have the choice of going in and get all alerts, or, well, I don't want any of the flushing alerts, so you uncheck that box or you uncheck this box. So you can pick and choose which alerts you'd like to have sent to you.
And yes, in their end-user agreement, I assume they cannot use any of the data they collect or third parties. It's strictly confidential.
We asked them that right off the bat, and they said yes.
Okay.
Can you think of anything else? Vern's been my right-hand man on this one, getting it going. So.
All right.
So excited about that. We started the interview process today for the accounting position to work with Sherry. We had 2 applicants come in today. We have 3 of them lined up for tomorrow. The water maintainer, we hired a young guy that starts next week. That will take the place of Dustin that moved up to become general foreman. So that puts our water team back up to whole. So things are looking good, moving forward.
Good. Thank you.
I have one additional item, if that's okay.
Sure.
We had talked, or you had talked, I should say, about the painting at JC Park above the above ground storage, and that you were looking to close that park. Are you aware at this point if that entire park will be closed, and if so, how will that be done? Because I know that there are a lot of patrons and some sports teams and a lot of kids playing basketball that I'd like to look out after.
The sports teams that have, everyone that has had the diamond reserved has been notified that we'll have to close the park when the painting starts. So they've already been notified to reschedule those games somewhere else. We will put signs. We're having signs made up that we'll be able to put all around the park, and we'll put barricades across the 2 roads that enter into the park. As far as people walking across the grass areas and walking into it, we can't police that. We don't have enough barricades to be able to put barricades completely around the whole thing. But the area that is getting painted will be inside a security fence, and they will have their drapes and curtains all the way down, all the way to the ground and covering the ground. Just like they did out at the ground storage tank, so that people couldn't access it. We'll do our best to keep people out of there, but
yeah, I'd like to see, if possible, that those kids be able to continue playing ball if they, if that's not a area of concern, and if we do believe that it's an area of concern, then are we then asking the police to stop by every time they see some guy shooting free throws and kick them out of the park, or how will we work that? Do you know?
We probably will tell the kids in the neighborhood that, look, the sign right there says that the park is closed. while they're doing painting. You need to find another area to play. It shouldn't be too long, but.
Was it a month or two? Is that what the estimate was? Sorry to.
Yeah, I think so.
Be on the spot.
It's better to be safe than sorry.
No, absolutely. Thanks.
Thank you, Pat. Number 3, ADA Transition Plan Committee update.
Basically, we did not meet last month because we did not have a quorum. However, I do want to mention there was I'll say ribbon cutting type of ceremony. I believe it is September 17th that we will have bus service starting from the square going into Springfield. It's my understanding they're starting with 3 routes in the morning, like 6, 7, 8, and then evenings will be 5, 6, and 7. So it sounds like they're trying to catch basically the commuter traffic 5 days a week at this point in time, and then they'll adjust depending on ridership. But I think it's definitely a big plus for Chatham to get that service.
I agree. All right, number 4, Utility Oversight Committee discussion. We discussed exactly what we did during the board meeting. Number 5, public comments on village business.
I have one thing, since I'm not a member of the public, but I'll ask.
You are.
I've been asked a couple of times on what our stance would be of live video and recording some of the subcommittee meetings, specifically the parks. The park one, there seems to be a lot of interest in that, and also our utility commission on putting those on YouTube. I'd just like to gauge what the board's thought on doing that. I know right off the bat that leads everything over to Pat, and it doesn't have to be that way. We can figure out a way around it, but you know, what's the thoughts?
Well, I mean, I don't see any problem with that.
I'm okay with that.
I don't know how we want
if
to
we
do
can
it,
do it without having Pat here.
That's the key. That's my biggest concern is that
I don't want to tie him up if we don't have to.
Although he's here all the time, we don't need him to be here all the time.
Yeah.
Let us give some thought to logistics and see what it is. The other thing I would interject into that is, remember, on those committees, those are all volunteers.
Absolutely.
And at a certain point, I think you may want to check with your volunteers, their comfort level.
No, I think those particular boards should have an input onto whether or not they are or not.
Yeah. The thing to always keep in mind is while they're advisory in nature, no final action ever happens at any one of those boards. It has to come up to this point before it's acted on. So
correct.
There's a couple things you want to keep in mind before you move in that direction.
With that comment, President Kimsey, in terms of that being advisory, because there was a comment that then Citizen Detmers made several months ago in terms of information going from those committees to the board. For the committee, would it be possible for us to get reports from the parks and planning committees
when they have similar to the planning commission? You see, the planning commission is very structured because it's set by law. On what they want to do. So when there's something that comes out of those committee that's requesting the village board or advising an action, that's when you see that. A lot of times, they'll work with the parks, they'll work with Dustin on things that they've seen, suggestions, ideas, and try to help formulate what a overall park maintenance or improvement plan might look like. Before that would be adopted, you'd see all that coming up here as the recommendation out of that board. The park committee is a little bit different than zoning and planning in that it's not a prescribed format, that you have to go do this and that's. They're set up to be advisory to the village and to us and say, here's something we would like you to act on or not act on.
I think that now that it's smaller, we'll get more recommendations and more things from them.
Well, we have a dedicated park foreman too.
Yeah.
He was there this week, right?
Yes.
Starting to attend, and so you'll see a bit of a
change out of that. You should be able to go back and look at the minutes for that meeting to see what went on. Where before, when I was back on the board at that time, we didn't have a clerk come to the subcommittee meetings. So it fell upon the chairman of that subcommittee to write all the notes out. And then he would type them all up and then read those into the village board meeting minutes, or just make a motion, I'm putting these minutes into the village board meeting. And then they were always attached to the minutes that went along with the board meeting. Now you could do something like that, but if you have a clerk there that's taking minutes, they're on board docs. You could go back and review what the discussion was and what the topics were in the minutes on each board docs meeting. We never take those meetings off. They're always there, and the clerk should always be able to go back and look at those minutes. You should be able to go back and look at those minutes. That's why every time you guys have a meeting, last night, you went to approve them. Well, they weren't there. So that clerk had not, either she had stuck them in the wrong spot, or he stuck them in the wrong spot, or they weren't released.
The release button for public access.
Right.
So that's why you couldn't see them and we couldn't find them last.
And that was my fault.
So
she emailed me.
So, well, I just wanted to bring that up now just because it's been something on my mind. It's nice that it's there for reference, but my mindset, just typical organizations, there's always a report up to the parent board, just to update it on status of things, not that it always requires a formal final action, but just to keep everyone informed. But
well, that's we kind of did that. The different topics we talk about. We talked about this. No decision was made. We talked about this.
You see that
talk about it the next
in past, because they've made recommendations up to the board on certain agreements. They've made recommendations up to the board on improvements. Via that is where the ideas on painting the basketball court came from. So all those things work their way up when there's a specific that comes out of it. So
yeah, I think
it's a little different because it's more discussion based and ideas and thought generating than it is prescribed. In order to be annexed into the village, you have to do this, and this, and check all those things.
Yeah, I'll just end in saying that, I was a member of the Public Properties Commission for a very long time and attended every meeting, and it was difficult for you to get a quorum in those discussions. And the thought that there are people interested in listening into those meetings is interesting to me, but either way, I will say that
members.
Nobody asked me about that particular.
Okay. I was going to say you got it wrong, but no. In all seriousness, I worked very hard on that commission, and I put a lot of thought and a lot of my own time and attention into it. And there were times in which I felt that I wasn't being heard, or that my work was, being wasted. And then that's just me being truthful. So if there's an opportunity for that board to speak with me as a trustee or as this group as a board, I'd welcome that, whether it's a recurring meeting, every quarter or once a year or whatever it is. I want to make sure that those subcommittees are being heard.
Yeah, I
appreciate you saying that because that's been on my mind. And I want to make sure that they feel that engagement because if there's not final action after a while, what keeps them involved is saying, I'm participating, I'm doing something,
but I'm not being heard.
Yeah.
Well, I think it would make a huge difference then if you had a couple trustees that were on the public property.
We went to Parks last night. It was a good meeting.
But see, that way you got somebody that's on this board that's bringing those thoughts up to that board.
Yeah, and
if you just have a group of public citizens that are throwing out ideas. They have no idea on budget. They have no idea on funding. They have no idea on any of that. They just throw out ideas that they would like to have this in the park and that in the park. I think if you have 3 trustees on the utility oversight committee, do you need to put 3 trustees on the public properties one?
Yeah. No, I'm a firm believer in a saying that I tell my guys at work is just because we've always done something one way doesn't mean we've always done it right. So I think it would behoove us to look at the way we deal with our subcommittees and probably interject ourselves a little bit more than what has been done in the past. So,
other than the planning and the zoning board of appeals that really can't have a trustee on it,
right?
Terry's on the ADA. I never could figure. Joe used to go to those meetings when he was on it, but I don't remember if he was an actual board member.
I thought Joe was on the parks, wasn't he?
That's what I'm talking about,
yeah.
Public properties one.
Yeah, I thought he was on that.
But right now, there's not a trustee there for that, so.
All right. Scheduled meetings, see village board schedule of meetings for all other scheduled meetings. Next committee of the whole will be 6:15, October 9th. Do we have any reason for a closed session? No. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Make that motion.
I'll second.
Trustee Mao, seconded by Trustee Mann. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Opposed?
I gotta get the.
Opposed?